Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about you as a dungeon master managing tactical mistakes when you're running your monsters. There's a huge lesson for every single dungeon master. It's being shown IRL right now, and it talks, and basically what's happening in real life is showing us our responsibility as dungeon masters to manage tactical mistakes. Right, so tactical mistakes are a big deal. So let's talk about Vecna. Right, Vecna is a named monster. You won't find Vecna in Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. You will find his monster type there. He's a lich. Okay, now in IRL, we have monsters too. The biggest IRL monster right now is Vladimir Putin. He's a named monster. Right, his type is Savage Despot. Right. His activities are, you will see this on CBS News. They just said, Vladimir Putin, what he does is he shells civilians, he persecutes civilians, he tortures civilians, and he marries civilians in mass graves. Like they just openly say, like they just list war crimes next to him, right? So he is an IRL monster. He's a savage despot. Vladimir Putin is a named monster. His monster type is savage despot, right? Now we're responsible to run Vecna, right? He's a named monster. His type is lich, right? And it's hard. It's very complicated to run Vecna because he's got a ton of powers, right? And so you need to know what you're doing. So one of the things you need to do is you need to understand tactical mistakes. So IRL monster Vladimir Putin has just made a massive tactical mistake, right? So he's just announced that he intends to annex lots of cities, right, that he occupies in Ukraine, like Bakaklaya, right, is one of these occupied cities that he's going to annex, right? And cities like that. Who knows what the status of that city is right now? It may have already been taken back by Ukraine. But that's okay. He's saying, hey, occupied cities that Vladimir Putin has occupied, we're going to annex them. Now, here's the problem with that. The moment you make that land Russian land, you have permissioned Ukraine to roll up on Russian land. Well, Ukraine don't have to stop at Bakaklaya. They can go all the way to Larentaya, the farthest Russian point to the west. They can go all the way up to Bolshevik Island in the north. They can go all the way down to Irkutsk in the south. And then Russia, the land Russia that was previously known as Russia, can simply be Ukraine, which extends from Ukraine city Uhurad all the way west to what used to be Russian Larentaya, all the way to what used to be southern Russia, Irkutsk, and all the way north to Bolshevik Island, which used to be Russian. But it's just basically so IRL monster Vladimir Putin has made this tactical mistake, which means he's given permission for Volodymyr Zelensky to make Ukraine 100 times larger than it ever was and just take it all back. And America is highly incented to help with this push, right? Because the reality is we don't want to live under an IRL monster who threatens us with NWs every day, right? And so we're like, oh, hey, Ukraine is all of what Russia used to be? Bet, we're in. Done. Here's more billions. Here's more missiles. Here's more, and here's a bunch of New York plumbers who are coming to fight as soldiers. The government ain't going to give that one. The people are giving it, right? So this is what you need to learn as a dungeon master. One, you're going to do the best job you can as Vecna, right? But here's the issue. Sometimes Vecna will screw up and make an opportunity for the player characters to gain huge advances, right? And that will be a tactical mistake, which you need to be like, oh, I made a mistake, air quotes, right? So you need to be aware of placing tactical mistakes into your Vecna play, right? But here's the other thing. You need to be smart enough to realize that you have been responding to the player characters and you just literally genuinely made a tactical mistake, right? And opened up a huge gap for the player characters to run through, right? Like the Chicago Bears, right? just like Vladimir Putin does. So you need to be able to recognize your own tactical mistakes, and you need to be able to and say, "Oh, geez, I gotta button this up," and because Vladimir Putin right now should be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, hey, I kind of opened it up so that Volodymyr Zelensky could take all of Russia. I give up. I'm done. This is not working out. It hasn't worked out for months." And Volodymyr puts on a t-shirt and everybody will fight to the death for him. And I put on a suit and my guys are like, "Oh, hey, Vladimir, I can't make it to the war." Right? And I suck in Volodymyr Zelensky is awesome. I give up. Done. And that's what he should do. He should surrender, right? So we need to just realize how to actually place this material and finish this out, right? So all of that, and so be aware of when you are purposely making tactical mistakes, and you should be doing them, and be cognizant enough to recognize tactical mistakes when you make them. That's my humble opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.